Welcome to Season 2 of Digging Deeper Ag Chats with Al, the podcast that brings you timely and practical stories straight from the paddock. From sowing to shearing, fire to flood, and everything in between. We're here when it matters most. Each episode taps into real experiences, expert voices, and grounded advice that helps you stay ahead on farm. I'm Alister from the Gippsland Ag Group, a grassroots farmer-led network in Gippsland, focusing on soil, grain and fodder, pasture and livestock. We're here to support producers in building resilient and profitable enterprises across our region. So let's dig in. Welcome everyone to Digging Deeper. We've got a special guest on in Mr. Barry Newman. How are you going, Barry?
I'm very well, thank you, Alister.
You've just come down from the high country this morning, have you?
Yes, come down today, yes.
Yeah. How's it look up there at the minute?
Dry as a chip.
Yeah.
Yes, it's bare.
Today wouldn't be helping.
Sorry?
Today wouldn't be helping.
No,
hot
it's
weather.
hot today again. But it's very dry in Ensay and Swift Creek. Terribly dry. We had a very cold winter. And then when spring came in September and October, we had wind just about every day and very little rain. And by the end of October, our country was bare and dry and would have burnt. Then we got a bit of rain in November that saved things a bit.
It greens up a bit, does it, up there in the late spring?
It did green up then, but whatever hay or silage was made with the poorest results we've ever had, I think. Right. Very poor season for hay. And now a lot of the country is bare. And
yeah. How do you feel about autumn coming up? Are you an optimist at heart?
I never know. I've lost track of all that. I used to believe what they said, that when Lake Eyre was full, that it made good seasons for us. But that hasn't happened.
No.
I don't know what's gone wrong with that theory. So.
Well, it's full at the minute, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so, and I think there's more rain coming down from that big rain in Queensland. Some of it will come down there.
Yeah.
I believe. So we can only hope.
Well, we won't know till it's fallen on us, I guess. So.
That's right.
Now, just explain who you are, I guess, to listeners that don't know. You're prominent in the Hereford industry, and so just talk about what you actually are currently doing at the minute, Barry.
Well, I'm a farmer in Ensay, and I have been ever since I was married in 1960, so I've been, and for 34 years, my brother and I were farming in partnership, and then we went, in 1994, we went on our own, and in turn of the century, my son, who was an accountant, I used to ask him who's making money, and he said, fine wool growers. Anyway, I let that one pass, and a couple of years later I said, who's making money now? He said, well-run studs. So I bought a few. I got the offer of a few Hereford cows from a friend in Holbrook, 7 cows and 8 heifer calves, and I started the Hereford stud.
Right, so you weren't really in cattle?
Yeah, we had cattle. My brother and I had cattle, and we used to have Hereford short-on cross. Yeah, we've always had cattle. We've always supported the calf sales.
Yeah.
Yeah, always had cattle, but I didn't have the stud. And I started the stud, and this year we got our 23rd on-property sale.
Right.
For Herefords. They're not all pure, they are all pure Hereford, but they're not all studs. They're not all registered studs. Some of them are registered commercials. They call them HPRs.
Yep.
We've actually got more HPRs than we have stud. But it doesn't make any difference to me, and it doesn't make any difference to most of my buyers. They just want them to breed calves with.
So who's actually buying? Mainly local, or people travel for your bulls?
Mostly local. I have sold to South Australia. I have sold into New South Wales and the North East a fair bit, and throughout Gippsland. Don't think I've ever sold one to Tassie. I've bought bull from over there, size. But so, yeah, mostly Gippslanders, I suppose, and the North East.
And why the Herefords? No temptation to go across to the black cattle?
No, they're a dirty word for me. No, I appreciate that the blacks are popular at the moment, but I love the Herefords. They do well in our area. They actually put on more weight than the Angus in most cases. And the Herefords, we've always been part of the mountain calf sales, and now that there are blacks in the mountain calf sales, they do well too, but the Herefords have always outshone the blacks in the mountain calf sales. So anyway, I've got the stud now, and I've got to stick with it, and I will stick with it.
How many numbers this year did you say? How many bulls have you got?
We're offering 43 this year. In the last few years, we've had it up to 60 odd.
Right.
But the last 2 years, last year and the year before, with the cattle market back a bit and seasons and what have you, we struggled to sell. We've only sold 30 and 34, I think, the last 2 years. So this year we're only offered 43.
Yep.
17 of those are horns and the balance are poles.
Right. And I'm assuming you got a bit of help up there as well?
No, I have a girl that works for me, Rayleigh Jager.
Yeah.
She's full-time, and then I have a part-time fellow 3 days a week, Woody O'Keefe, and he helps my son who's got a property at Ensay the other 2 days. So we get on pretty well, yeah.
Right, now let's go right back, Barry, to the early days. Did you grow up in Ensay, did you? Or?
Yeah, I grew up in Ensay, went to primary school in Ensay, and then along with my brother and then eventually, that was Gerald, and then eventually Evan, my younger brother, we went to Geelong Grammar.
Right. You boarded down there, I'm assuming?
Yeah, and I was one of the first years of Timbertop.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of Timbertop.
Timbertop School up in Mansfield. Well, I was in the very first year that went to Timbertop.
Right.
And then when I left school, I lived in Melbourne in a boarding house with a whole lot of other boarding houses. It was 3 or 4 old houses run by a fella called Bully Taylor for country students, working students.
Yeah.
So I was studying wool classing at Melbourne Uni, at Royal Melbourne Institute, Royal Melbourne Institute of Technology.
Yeah.
So I was, from that point of view, I was a student, but I was working for A.M.L, which is now Elders.
Oh, yes. Was that in Brooklyn still, or is that somewhere else?
No, I was everywhere. I was doing like an apprenticeship. And which did I start first? I went out to the wool stores and in the bulk classing, and I was just pushing the wool around from as it was classed.
Yep.
I did a while there, and then I did Newmarket, booking clerk and office work at Newmarket. And then I was in the office licking stamps for dispatch clerk, in the accounts. It was like an apprenticeship. Stud stock. I was in the stud stock for a while.
And did you get off on farm a fair bit in those roles as well?
Yeah, well, when I was in the stud stock, I did. There's a fella called John Tracy was there, who later became a manager of A.M.L in Bairnsdale, and I think he ended up being manager for A.M.L for Australia in Adelaide. But anyway, right. I got to know him pretty well. I still talk to him. He's a great fella. So I did that apprenticeship, and all the while my father, who was agent for previously McLean and Co, and then it became A.M.L and F.
Yeah.
He died in 1957. So I came home in 1958 to be the Ensay agent.
Right. Had you had an agency experience in Melbourne then, or is it
only
just the wool?
What I'd done with A.M.L.
Right.
And so I came home, and my brother and I bought a small part, or half of property, 442 acres. So for a while there I was part farmer, part agent.
Right.
And that was from 1958 to about 68, I think it was. During that time, I had to conduct sheep sales in Ensay and cattle sales in Ensay.
Now, I'll stop you there for a minute, because back in those days, there was quite a few sheep around Ensay and higher up. Yeah. It's changed since.
Oh, it's changed. In those days, my father, I think it was 51, he had the record number of sheep for a sheep sale in Gippsland was 21,000. In the sale yards, it would hold only a bit over half that.
Right.
So he had to organise to start selling in the morning, and by lunchtime they had to clear all those out, and they brought all the others in which they had on standby.
Right.
And they resold them all, and then when I was agent, there weren't those numbers, but I did have about 14,000 twice, which I had to do the same sort of procedure, start in the morning.
Now, is that the same area as what the calf sales was
yes,
at?
Yeah, same area.
Just up near the pub there?
Yes,
yep.
Yeah. But the yards were different then. They had sheep yards, and drafting yards and everything.
Yep.
And then, I can't remember the year, but about the mid-60s, an Ensay vendor, Jim Cummins, I used to organise a cattle sale for Ensay. In fact, in a couple of years there, in the autumn, we had 2 cattle sales of all sorts of cattle, fattening cattle, grown steers, and cows and calves, and the calves and the lot. And Jim Cummins said to me, we should be part of the calf sales. And I said, I think you're right. So I put it to the hierarchy and they agreed. So Ensay became part of the mountain calf sales the next year.
Yeah. What year was that again? Sorry, Barry.
I'm not sure. It was about 64 or 5, I think.
Right.
I can't remember exactly. It was while I was agent anyway.
Yeah.
And then that was on the Thursday, so I'd made a 3-day sale.
Right.
Benambra, Omeo, Ensay.
Yeah.
And then I was trying to canvass for some of the buyers to come to the Ensay sale, and a couple of them said to me, 3 days is too long away, don't think I'll be there. So A.M.L put the Ensay on the morning before Omeo on the second day.
Yeah.
And that's been a roaring success because not only did it get them out of the yards, the people out of the Omeo yards while they're getting big numbers ready.
Yeah.
It was good for Ensay. And the quality of the Ensay calves is, it's debatable. They'll all argue, but they're equal to any of them.
Yeah.
We've often topped the series,
Right.
or been up around it, so the quality's there.
And they Omeo followed with the Hereford sale after yours, is that correct back then?
Yes, that's how it was. It was Benambra one day, Ensay on the Tuesday. On the Wednesday morning it was Ensay, and on Wednesday afternoon it was Omeo.
Yeah.
And then an agent Peter Steer, who used to be an agent in Ensay after me, or a few different moves after me, he then became manager of A.M.L in Bairnsdale. Now I'm just getting mixed up. Was he A.M.L or was he Elders? So Elders took over at one stage, but when he was manager, he might have been Elders then. When he was manager, he decided that we should have a special black sale in Omeo.
Yeah.
So all the blacks were taken out of Omeo, out of Benambra and Ensay, and a special sale in Omeo. And that invited cattle. That brought a lot of cattle from Galandapi and elsewhere, and that black sale has been a real boomer.
Yeah.
So the last few years, quite a few years ago, that started. So what it's been Omeo blacks in the morning, Benambra Herefords in the afternoon on the Tuesday. On the Wednesday morning, it's been Ensay Herefords and back to Omeo Herefords.
Now, it's a good opportunity to talk about the changes this year then, Barry.
Yes, yeah.
So you've actually changing it up. Yourself and a few others decided that Ensay was getting a bit hard to work the cattle in and hold the cattle. Is that one of the decisions?
There's a number of reasons. It's just we're reducing in numbers a little bit because of a number of things. Properties are being sold, and not one or two properties have been sold that would produce calves that probably won't now. The other main reason for the reduction in number, right throughout the calves, Benambra, Omeo, Ensay, the numbers are down somewhat because more and more people are going spring calving. So, and most of the calf sales are autumn drop calves. And then there's more and more, it's becoming an issue of animal welfare. They're standing there in the mud or they're standing there in the heat before and after the sale, which a lot of people don't like. And then another issue is the agents tell us that commission buyers, and if you read the Stock and Land and reports of the sales in the North East and Western District recently, commission buyers, a number of commission buyers often buy 200 or 300 each per sale, and we're informed they won't buy unless they're weighed.
Right.
So, and there needs to be a bit of work done on Ensay, and so a number of reasons, and the reason, and the influence of elders saying that we need to weigh them to get the commission buyers there. We've decided to make the Ensay sale in Bairnsdale, but the program's going to be a little bit different. Ensay's going to be first on the Monday, 9 o'clock start in Bairnsdale. And then they'll drive to Omeo for the afternoon Hereford sale, Monday afternoon. Tuesday morning it'll be out Benambra Herefords, and then Tuesday afternoon back for the Omeo Angus, the black ones.
Yep. So the Tuesday stay in the same format, but you move in the Wednesday to the Monday pretty much.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, that'll be something different. You
Well,
reckon?
no, the Tuesday's not the same format. Blacks were always first. Now they're going to be
Oh,
last.
right.
They're going to
Yes.
be last. So it's going to be the three. And I foresee, rightly or wrongly, and I might be wrong, but if the Ensay sale in Bairnsdale is a success, and it might well be because it'll encourage producers from other areas like Galandaby and Buchan and Dargo and other mountain-type areas that produce good Herefords, and there are good ones there, to join our sale, and make it a special mountain Hereford sale. It could well be that Omeo and Benambra vendors will do likewise.
Follow down the next day.
Down the track, it might be one big Hereford sale in Bairnsdale. I might be wrong, but I foresee that could happen.
Right. Oh, that would be good to see how that unfolds. I'll hopefully be up there this year, and
right.
It'll be good to see the differences. I've worked a couple of the sales in the past, and I've always loved being involved in those days.
Yeah,
There's a lot of cattle, a lot of people, a lot of trucks.
Yeah, well, yes, it's big. It's big time, and it's good for community to get all those people coming through. But I don't know whether it's the right or wrong move, but time will tell. But things do move on. Like I can remember, as I said, we used to have a lot of sheep in Ensay, and now we don't have any in the sale. Things do change.
Yep. Now, thinking about all the years that you've been involved in the calf sales, what's some memories that stick out in your mind, or some highlights, or even some lowlights maybe that you can remember from your time in the sales?
Of the sales in particular?
Yep.
Oh, well, that's a good one. I should look it up, but there was, for a while there, the calf sale in Ensay was, like I said, before Omeo. And then some of the vendors, Jim Cummins was one of them, and Nagara and a few others, went to spring calving. But unlike now, they didn't sell those calves in the spring. They held them over and sold them in the calf sales at about 17 months old. So down the bottom of the Ensay yards, which are the big yards, holding yards with water in them, that's where the mountain cattle, the grown cattle we call them, or the older cattle were sold. And on one year, I can't tell you the number now, but there was too many for the sale yards. So on my property, just past my house, there's a bit of a flat there. Elders put up portable yards, and we sold 2 lanes of 4 rows of calves. I think it's about 400 heifer calves sold there.
Yeah.
And then they went up to Omeo afterwards. But now those older cattle are not sold there anymore. People sell them earlier than that, generally. So that was one highlight. I remember that happening. But I suppose I'm allowed to boast a bit, but 2022, our calves were good. Sometimes you have good calves and sometimes they're not as good. They must have been pretty good in 22, and that's the year it was very dear.
Right.
My top pen of Herefords made 27.80, and I think that was certainly the highest for the series. And I could stand corrected, but I don't think there'd be calves in Australia any dearer than that, weaned calves of the same age. And I averaged nearly 2,300 for 150 that year.
Right.
Fraction under 2,300.
Were you expecting numbers like that, were you, or was it a bit of a shock?
I knew it was going to be better, but I didn't think it was going to be that good. But everything ticks, all the boxes ticked in the right direction that year.
Yeah.
Shortage after the drought, but then the job eased, and in my experience, the next year, whether my calves were as good or not, I wouldn't know. And I know the last couple of years I haven't been because we've had a lot of Pinkeye trouble. But the next year I averaged about 1,450.
Yeah, right.
The next year I averaged 1,050.
See.
And last year I averaged 1,150 in round figures. And as I say, last year I had a lot of Pinkeye trouble, so the tail end of it wouldn't have been as good. But 1,150 is half of what it was in 22. Now they're saying, I've just seen the average for all the sales I've had this year, about 1,650 for 100 and something thousand calves.
Yeah.
So it's gone up. It's gone up. If mine were about average last year at 1,150 and it's gone up to 1,650, that's 500. So I read in the paper where it's gone up 400 to 450 a head.
Where do you reckon's about right? What's sustainable for yourself?
Well,
and then
I
also
don't
for
know.
the guys?
That's a good price. That's good money. Good money for everyone. But at the same time, when it was deer in 22, we were getting good money for cows and bulls. Fat cows and fat bulls. You can get that now, or we were last October. I've sold some recently, a little under that, but they're pretty high. So the fat market is nearly as good as it was in 22. The calf market is good, but it's not as good as it was in 22.
Yeah, they'll be coming for those red cattle, I reckon.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. But, and a big rain everywhere will make a big difference for the demand for the calves.
Now, most of your sale goes into that one day, is that correct? Your calves? Minus your bulls, obviously.
No, I keep the best. What we do, we join them to produce the best calves we can. And then when we mark our calves in July, mostly in July, we pick out, and at birth every calf is identified, so we tag the calf so we know its mother and we know how it's bred. And then at calf marking, we pick out roughly the best half of the bull calves to keep them as bulls and cut the others. And we do likewise with the heifer calves, keep about half of the best of them, and we tag them accordingly.
Yeah.
And then when we take the bulls out, sometime in September, on both farms we draft them into 3 mobs: cows with heifer calves, cows with bull calves, cows with sale calves. And that's how, we've got 2 properties, main properties, and that's how they are until we wean. And then we get all the bull calves weaned and all together, and get all the keep heifer calves all together, and so on. And so at the moment, all my sale calves are up what we call the ranch up Ensay North. Normally they're not, but this year they are because of the season.
Chasing a bit more feed up there.
But it's pretty tough going. It's dry up there, and I had a bit of green feed, but it's gone.
Yeah.
So we're feeding them a bit.
How are the nerves leading into sale day, Barry?
Oh, it's always a worry this time of year. I wake up in the middle of the night thinking, is there any grass there? And then the other issue now is water. And as you might have seen, there's one vendor from Omeo, Peter Faithful, one of the leading vendors from Omeo. He sold his calves last week in Bensdale.
Right. Was that mainly for lack of water?
Lack of water. Right. Yeah, he said lack of water. And we're not quite that bad, but a lot of our dams are well down. So we've got troughs down on the home property. I've got 29 troughs. So the river doesn't want to stop. But up Ensay North, it's mostly dams, but they're going down.
Yeah. Can you drill bores up that high in the country?
Oh, some people do. Yeah, I haven't, but some people do, yeah.
Yeah.
Across the road they have from me.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned it a little while ago there, the sheep sale, and 20-odd thousand sheep at one sale.
21, I think it was 21, yeah.
Yeah, which is it's a number I can't even imagine growing up in this area.
It was the area used to run a lot of sheep and very few cattle in those days. Quite a few people had a few cattle, but that's all, a few cattle. And sheep was a big thing.
Now, was it mainly merinos then, I'm
assuming? No, and crossbreds too.
Crossbreds as well.
And a lot of Corridor sheep, and those Corridor rams were popular then. But that particular sale was big because Tongo Station sold out and split up. So they virtually used the Ensay sale as their dispersal for all their sheep. And likewise, Keith Burden up in Ensay North, he did the same. Yeah. So, and it might have been someone else. There was 3 big vendors, bigger than normal, that added to the big sheep sale. And like the calves for many years, after that sheep sale, a lot of them walked to Bensdale.
Walked them to Bensdale?
Walked them to
really?
Bensdale. I can remember, I've got photos of in the stock and land, there was a mob of sheep coming out of the yards, going round into a paddock, and they were and that was sort of the depot and then they walked them to Bensdale.
Right, over how many days did it take them?
I'm not sure. I can't remember. I know, they used to walk the calves from Benambra. You knew that, did you?
No, I didn't.
Well, that happened for years, many years. Actually, there's an article about it in last week's Bairnsdale Advertiser. The Omeo one, the Benambra, the calf sale one, They sell in Benambra, they sell in Omeo. They were the main two sales, and then later on it was Ensay. They walked from Omeo, Benambra to Omeo, Omeo to Huggins at Tongeo, that's 2. Reeds this side of Swiss Creek, 3. Ensay, 4. Ensay South, 5. Double Bridges, 6. Bruden, the other side of Bruden, 7. Into Lucknow, 8. And on the 9th morning into the Bairnsdale yards, and they drafted them all up.
You never were part of any of those driving?
I actually didn't drive. My brothers did. Both brothers did. A lot of people did. I was agent. When I was agent at one stage, they were all to go, and they relied on me to, make sure things were right, to help.
All horseback, I'm assuming?
Yeah, all horseback, yeah. And some of them sometimes had 700, 800, and sometimes had 2,500,
Yeah, right.
And 1 or 2 years they had 2 mobs.
Yeah.
Alan Taylor was a famous one, but then there were a lot of good, Laurie Hiscock and a lot of other local men and a few local fellas from up home has helped. But
now, do you know Frank Bolton, I'm assuming?
Yeah, I know of him, yeah.
Because I heard a story of him that he and his brothers, his old man used to buy some cattle in at Bensdale, and then his old man would give him 1 horse between Frank and the brothers, and they would walk all the cattle back to their property down that sailway. So,
amazing.
Yeah, I'd love to be involved in something like that. I reckon it would be a real adventure. Yeah. Not that you could do it these days, I guess. So, so did you run sheep when you were first on the property?
Yeah, we had a lot of sheep, Evan and I.
Yeah,
we had merino sheep, and some of them joined to crossbreds. We also had a little Border Leicester stud, and a Pole Dorset stud.
Was this before the Herefords?
Oh, we had Herefords at the same time, but not the same
the
amount. We had a smaller amount.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And up there, just for listeners that aren't from this area, what was some of the main drivers of pushing the sheep out of the industry or out of the hills? There's a couple of key things I can think of.
Yardings.
That was a big one?
Definitely Yardings.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the main one.
Because it was at that area that Yardings in Victoria was one of the first places discovered?
Yes. Evan and I were partners, and we dissolved partnership in 94, and the next year I had a few Crooks sheep, and Evan had a Crooks one, and they used to have a research station here in Bairnsdale, research. I forget what you call it now, but you could send, if you had something wrong with your cattle or your sheep, you send it there to and find out what was wrong with them.
Right.
And anyway, Evan said, well, we did everything with our sheep and we couldn't. So he sent some down, and they said, well, they're crooked, but we can't find out what's wrong with them. And he said, well, you better have a better look. There's something wrong with them. So they did, and they discovered it was Jone's.
Right.
So then it was realised then that Jone's was a problem in New South Wales, but the New South Wales government hadn't done much about it. And I think, from memory now, that they originally got it from New Zealand, but New South Wales hadn't done much about it. Evan and I were both involved with the VFF, and we decided, well, that's no good, we've got to do something about it. So we got the VFF on board, and they got the Victorian government on board, and it became a program of elimination. And to eliminate it, you have to have Jone's off your property for 2 years. That was the rule, and with my experience, I'm not quite sure that solves the problem entirely either.
Yeah.
But you've got to get rid of your sheep.
So you and Evan had to destroy the sheep?
We either had to destroy them or sell them.
Right.
Which we did. And then, of course, then it became widespread. When they started to do research, everyone in the area got tested, and there was much more around than everyone realised. And then we'd sold sheep to here and there, and we'd sold Jone's to other areas, and a lot of people didn't realise. And so the VFF and the Victorian government brought in this elimination scheme, eradication scheme, and they paid us compensation.
Yeah.
It wasn't very much to start with, and then they upped that to a reasonable amount. But I remember Evan copping a bit of a flack at Omeo, from people up there, it's not as bad as you think it is. And then a few years later, one fella came to him and said, I see what you're talking about there.
Right.
So that eliminated a lot of the sheep in the area, and a lot of people went more into cattle then.
Yeah. How hard was that for the area?
Oh, it was hard. It wasn't good. Wasn't good. But there was another time before that. I forget what year. When sheep was that bad, we had to shoot a lot of them. Do you remember that?
No, it's been before my time, I think.
The sheep market, I can't remember how long ago it was, but the sheep market was that bad that a lot of sheep were unsaleable. We had to shoot.
Yeah, well, my grandfather, he's passed away now, but was in the area for his whole life, he remembers getting a bill for $4 to send sheep to the sale yards. And at that time, he was someone that could never put down an animal, but at that time there were a lot of other people.
Yeah, that'd be the year. So, any idea when that was? I can't remember.
No,
that.
For some reason the 70s drought. The 70s drought,
yeah,
was it?
Could have been, yeah.
Yeah, he's no longer here to ask the question, but I do remember, he got a $4 per head, and back then $4 was worth a lot more than now, type of thing. But that was a similar story to just a couple of years ago for some of the guys in the high country.
Yeah.
Because cartage feed had come down, so we sold about 3 years ago cull sheep, and we were happy with $46 a head that we got because we thought they were going to be less than that because there was sheep selling for less than $10 a head. Yeah. But that's definitely changed around now. But well,
in 1972, which was a drought time, there was a sheep sale in Ensay, and Evan and I got $5 for lambs, I think they were. And Evan said to me after, we can't exist on this. And we used to farm, like he lived on my mum's farm and looked after that, and then I sort of looked after the joint farm. So he left and went to the northeast and got a job as a young farmer's advisor. Mm-hmm. And we split the income and we got by with that. Yeah. But that was pretty ordinary in 72. And then graduated. So I don't know whether that was the year they put the sheep down. I can't remember. Marry the time frame up, but
well, we're about to find out. Someone will have those dates somewhere. You just mentioned Evan again then, and I've heard a story. I don't know whether it's a mythical story about Evan and a fundraising event, and running from Ensay up the high country.
Yes.
Can you retell that story?
It was. What was the fund? It was for the Omeo Hospital, I think, or it was at the Omeo Hospital. I forget what the fundraising was for, but when he was at school, he was a good runner, brilliant runner. Not a long-distance runner, but he could run and he was good, fast at football. But for the few practice runs, he ran from Ensay to Omeo to raise money.
Yeah. Now, for anyone that doesn't know the area, that's pretty much all uphill, isn't it, from Ensay?
Yes, it is. Well,
do you know the elevation?
It's not. No. When you top the Omeo Gap, it's in feet. It used to be in feet. It's 2250, and my house is 1100. Yeah. About 1150, I think. So, and Evan's down a little bit. So and then when you get to the top of the gap, you go down a little bit into Omeo, not much, but a little bit. So he went from 1100 to 2250 at least. And a lot of it's
about 1100 odd feet he's climbed. And what distance up there? How many kilometres?
25 miles.
Yep. So we have to do all the conversion. 40 k's. There you go. So it's a 40-kilometre climb. That's an impressive feat for anyone.
It was a good effort.
And he raised money through that process.
He did. I forget what he got now. He did raise a bit of money. Yeah, it was good. Yeah. And there were other people doing other things. My memory's not that good these days, but
there's a lot of things to remember. There, isn't there?
Well, I suppose I have, but anyway. Yeah. But he did. That was a good effort.
Let's go back to your bulls for a minute.
Yes.
We want to pick your brains just a little bit about. You've been growing cattle for a very long time, and in the stud game for many years now as well. Yeah. What's the perfect bull for you?
Well, that's a good question. I bought him this morning.
Yeah, you bought one this morning? Oh, there you go. Are you able to share, or is it under...
Not sure that's written up yet.
No, we'll leave it off the card. But when you are looking for someone, we talk one you've just got. But
I like Herefords, and the calf sales basically are Herefords. Although there's a lot more Angus now, but the Herefords sell well in the calf sales. And I only started off with a few stud cows, and I've been buying a few more and breeding a few more. But I haven't got a lot of pure stud cows. Most of mine are just commercial cows. They're all registered, and I've got to do all the things for the studs. I've got to weigh them at birth. No, I don't weigh at birth. 200 a day, 400 a day, 600 a day, and I weigh them before the sales. So it's a lot involved. But my bull buyers, in the main, are commercial producers who sell calves at the calf sales. And I always think if you're going to sell calves in the calf sales, you don't want the calf to be finished at the calf sale day.
Wants to grow on.
You want them to grow on. So there's a lot of the theorists say you should concentrate on your 400-day weight. I don't agree with that, not from my point of view. I reckon 600-day weight's more important, because the bloke who buys my calves, he's got to make money, otherwise he won't come back.
Yeah.
And the best buyer you can have is a repeat buyer.
Yeah.
So 600-day weight, and from the figures point of view, is the thing I look at first. But then there's the others. You've got to look at all the others. Eye muscle area, which is the amount of meat on them, and their weight, and you know, you look at all aspects of them, the length and head and eyes. And you've got to have the. I learnt this once, and it's one of the things I always look at a bull now. When I look at him, his eyelashes got to be 45 degrees to the ground.
Eyelashes 45 degrees to the ground.
And the reason for that is, as I've had explained to me by a vet, if they're higher than that, the eye is protruding, and when they're grazing, the sun's hitting their eye.
So cancer,
so
or
more prone to cancer.
Right.
But certainly, if you want a well-set eye, you want the eyelash 45 degrees to the ground.
There you go. And does your new bull have that?
I think so. I think so. I haven't seen him yet.
Yeah. What about feet? They obviously walk a lot up in the high country.
Yeah. Feet are important. All those things are important. Testicles, feet, a bit of a rump on them.
Yeah. Temperament?
Very definitely temperament. Good strong head, a bit of a long neck. I read an article many years ago by a fellow who used to run South Barook Stud, who was the stud in Victoria many years ago. You want to get the bull that looks over the gate, not through the gate.
Right, head up.
Yeah, head up and a long neck. You know, you don't want the short looking like that, because.
What's that do to him?
Well, they carve the better structures. They carve better. You know, there's a lot of concern now about the figure for birth weight figure. You need a low birth weight figure so your cows and heifers calve easily. To my way of thinking, that's only part of it. You don't want them thick in the shoulder. You want them long neck and slender, and they'll calve. Even if they're heavier, they'll calve better than a lighter weight dumpy one. Yeah. So shape is important, just as important. And the other thing about calving is how you feed your heifers. You don't want them over fat. You don't want them under fat. You want them well grown.
Yeah, the Goldilocks.
Yeah, well, the bigger the heifer, the more chance she has of having a decent calf. If she's small and starved, she's going to struggle from all aspects. So.
Yep. Now, let's talk about the cow a little bit. Is there differences in the cow that you look for when you're keeping your replacement heifers? What are you looking at in that regard?
Oh, well, I'm a Hereford breeder, and I like the colours. So,
yeah.
You know,
those dark red ones?
people laugh at me, but I like the dark ones.
Yeah.
With a good crest, not too much white, but, you know, just the right, what is considered to be the Hereford markings. Some say the ones with more white on them milk better. That may be. Some say the ones that got a red neck way better. That might be. There's sort of a balance there. I don't know, but I like the ones that look good, with the good figures to match, good temperament, and I like the heifers that I keep my best heifers. I don't, you know, I could sell my best heifers and get more money in the calf sales, and make do with the others. But I think I like to keep the best heifers. Because they're the cows that milk better and look better. So that's the way I figure it. Yeah.
Now, how old are some of your cows walking around up there? Do you cull on age, or do you let them?
No, I don't cull on age. They seem to cull themselves if they're vetted empty or if they've got crook feet or anything. No, I don't cull on age. Some people do. I remember reading where some studs used to sell religiously at 8 years, because after that they start to go downhill. And I believe in longevity. I think longevity is a very important trait in cattle. If you've got cows at 12-year-old still doing a really good job, why sell her at 8? She might have her best calves at 9 or 10 or 11.
Yep, proven breeders.
Yeah, so I don't. I might be wrong. A lot of good theorists say you should pick. You don't want your old cows, and I suppose in a way they are more prone to break down, like we all are. When we get old, things go wrong. But if they're good, and you're trying to breed good ones, don't get rid of them until you have to, or you think it's time. They're starting to slip a bit.
What would be the oldest cow you've got walking around up there still, do you think?
I've got a J cow, so she'd be, we're up to, you count back, we're up to X this year. The calves born this year are X.
That's 9.
No,
Is it?
it's more than that.
Is it?
Yeah. J, K, L, M, N, you don't have O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X.
Oh, stand correct. 14 years old.
14.
There you go.
Yeah, I've got one, 14, but not many.
Yeah.
But I know I've got one. I wrote it this morning.
Yep. Oh, that's very good. Now, just while we're talking about your cows and calves, is there a cow or a bull that has stood out, apart from this new one that you can't share with us yet? Is there one that stood out over the years that's been your ultimate favourite?
We've bought a few bulls. I thought you'd ask. I should have done my homework on this, but when I started my stud, I bought 7 cows and 8 heifer calves. They threw in a heifer calf, and I went to I forget how much I paid for them. It was a reasonable price. But I went to Wodonga and paid $24,000 for a bull, which was a lot of money.
What year was this, do you remember? Roughly?
02, I think.
Right.
02, I think. 24,000. Now, you can win some and lose some when you buy stud sires, but that bull returned me $254,000 for bull sales through the ring alone.
Gee.
Plus any that didn't make it, plus the steers, plus the heifers.
Yeah.
Now, I've had other bulls make over $300,000. I've paid $120,000 for a bull. I shared it with another bloke, and I'll never see my money again.
Right.
So, well, I might struggle to, but you never know. He's still going, so I might. But so you win some and lose some.
Yeah.
But other bulls, I bought a bull from Yarram Park. Jeremy Upton, who was the manager there at the time, and he happened to be a J, so I called him Jeremy.
The bull was?
Yeah, the bull. I call him Jeremy because he was a J, and they didn't name their bulls. They just had them by the number. I called him Jeremy. Well, I don't know what he returned me, but he was a high birth weight bull, over 8, which a lot of people frown on. I never pulled a calf from him. He left great, big, beautiful cows and big. It was just a good bull.
Yeah.
Some of them do that and some don't. You get disappointed with some bulls and you get very happy with others.
When do you know if it's a good bull after the first calving, or does it take a couple of years sometimes?
Oh, yeah. Well, when I keep a record of, I do a lot of it in books.
Yeah.
I should do it all in the computer, but a lot of it in books, and I can look up. And when I keep my heifer calves, say 80 heifer calves, each year I write down, the calf number, the sire, the dam, the date of birth, and then at the end of it I total up what they buy, how many buy this bull and how many buy that bull, and then you go over the next year and you can do the same again. This, like Kaluta Monopoly was that bull I was telling you about first year.
Yeah.
I kept a lot of his calves and then some more, and you think, oh, he's breeding well. I've kept, heifer calves every year. Yeah. And that's one way, and also with your bulls. How many of his bulls are in the sale? And some will have 1 or 2, and some will have 6 or 7. They're more consistent.
Yep. So you look back in retrospect and can see.
Yeah. Keep looking back. Yeah.
No, very good. Now, have you got any more to say about the cows or calves?
No, I've always got something to say, but...
Tell me about some tough times. How does How did you and your brother deal with tough times up there? Because there would have been plenty of struggles up there, I'm assuming.
We have. Well, when Evan and I were partners, we had mostly sheep, and we, like every few years we get a drought. We didn't have that many cattle. Our policy then, if we couldn't feed, was to send them on agistment. And we sent them, and even after we weren't partners, that was our policy. Send them on agistment, or at least send some of them on agistment.
So you didn't like selling off your breeder sort of thing?
You trim down the best you could, but if you put money into breeding good ones, you don't want to sell them off, because when it breaks, you've got to pay twice as much. Anyway, and then so that's always been our policy, but of more recent times, we make more hay. Like I can remember we used to buy a truckload of hay. That meant to buy a truckload of little squares, and you had to unload it and reload. And that was a big effort. Now you buy a truckload of hay, big squares. And
the tractor lifts them all off.
And the tractor puts them off, and the tractor puts them on. It's a lot easier. But it still costs. But in the 16, 17, 18, 19 drought, or 17, 18, 19 into 20 drought that we've had, 20, not recently, it was pretty bad, and I had to decide what we're going to do, and I decided I've put a lot of money into the stud and breeding them, and I knew what would happen if I sold a lot, and a lot of people in southern Australia had to reduce their numbers, studs everywhere. And I trimmed down as best I could, and I bought feed, or I got agistment. Anyway, that first 12 months, I spent $340,000 on adjustment or feed or transport, all to do with feeding. And then the next year it wasn't quite as much. By the end of the fourth year, I was over 600,000.
Right.
And I thought, how am I ever going to find it? But then it broke, and then we struck the good prices, and I was back. I was running again. Yeah,
because you had all your numbers.
I still had my numbers, and in those days, back then, I used to. Not that I had it the most, but occasionally I'd put some money into what do they call them? A deposit scheme.
Right.
Oh, it's got a name. You can put if you've got a bit of spare money, you can put it in.
I've never had spare money in this farming game.
You put it in for 12 months. You can't touch it.
Right.
And you can draw it out after 12 months, and that's when you pay the tax on it. Farm management deposits.
Right.
That's what they were called. And so every now and then I used to put a bit aside if I could. Well, then in 17 I drew it all out big time.
To pay for the
I need to. Yeah.
Yep.
So that was good. Riley told me she told you about me because I had to fight with a bull.
Yes, I was going to bring that up now. She said last year, but we're into the next year, so with 2024?
Yeah, it was. It was in the spring. We're getting all our bulls, all our cattle in to give them a dose and everything. When we're at my home property, we're getting the last 5 bulls in out of a paddock. 4 bulls I think it was. And they'd been mates, but because we're starting to get them in, they start to fight, didn't they?
Yeah,
and they always do. And one of them was a younger one. It took off and Rayleigh took after it. I got the other 3 into the yards. I was only in the Can-Am. And I ran them down into the yard, got out, I ran them down into the yard, big holding yard, and I closed the gate. And 2 of them were horny bulls, and one was a pole. And the 2 horny bulls were getting into the pole, and he was the biggest, chasing him round, and I thought, I better close the gate and get out of here. So I went, it's a big, high, strong gate. I went over and I was just putting the chain, it was closed with a chain on a knob. I just put the chain on the knob and I saw this bull's head coming straight for the gate. The next thing, half an hour later, I woke up and the ambulance was there.
Right.
He'd hit the gate, smashed the chain. I must have turned when I saw him coming, but otherwise the gate would have hit me flat on.
Yeah.
And it couldn't have done, but it threw me back nearly 3 metres, knocked me out.
So you're on the outside of the pen at this stage?
Yeah, on the outside of the pen, and the gate came out, and it's the gate that knocked me backwards.
Yeah. And
then he came out and he walked on me and took a big piece of meat out of my back of my leg. So anyway, the ambulance came and I was strapping up my leg, and eventually I went to Bairnsdale and I was as dizzy as all get out. And eventually, that was because I don't know, he's done something to my balance. I've overcome that now, but a bit of treatment.
How do you go getting back in the yards after an event like that? Does it bother you at all? Or?
No, I'm always aware of them. But
Yeah.
you get in ring yard to draft cows, and I was drafting 3 bulls there the other day, and I went to, and 2 of them decided to have a fight, and they came straight at me. They went, and I thought, where am I going to get out of here? And anyway, I hit them hard with the stick, and they pulled back. So you got to be careful with cattle, but they're not wild. But bulls always want to fight.
Young bulls or any bulls?
No, young bulls. These were.
It's like a young teenage boy, I guess, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah.
Don't know their strengths yet.
Yeah.
There you go. The other thing I wanted to ask you about, actually, and this is Morgan Davies told me about this one. He said that you might have been in a wedding party when you were younger with someone very famous.
Yes.
Do you remember the story? I've got a name, but I thought I'll see if you know what I'm talking about.
Yes. Well, I know of one party.
Yeah.
My wife was Topsy, and her brother was Bob Turner.
Yeah.
And he played for Melbourne in the 50s, and he was very friendly with Ron Barassi, and I knew Bob's girlfriend, Jenny. So they got married. Bob and Jenny got married. Ron Barassi was the best man. I was groomsman, and Topsy was the one of the 2 bridesmaids.
Right.
Yeah.
And so how old will you have been? Is this when you're still down in Melbourne classing, or is this?
It was, when were they married? We were married in the 60s. They were married, was it before us? No, I think it was after I'd come home to Ensay, so I think it might have been after 61 or something like that. Yeah, I think we went back for the wedding, yeah.
And what was a young Ron Barassi like? Was he a...
Oh, he's a good bloke, Ron Barassi. Yeah. He probably wouldn't remember me, but I used to know him. And because Bob was playing for Melbourne, he was a very popular fella, Bob. But Melbourne was very good then. They had a top team. And Bob was struggling to make the first. In 5 years, he made the first for about 21 games, about 4 or 5 games a year, which entitled him to be a life member. I think he had to be 20.
Oh.
So, anyway... But he was very friendly with Bob, and he was very friendly with a lot of others, And in those days, after the game, we used to go to the game, and then after the game, you'd go down into the rooms. The players would invite members of the family or friends in. You see them getting undressed and dressed again, and then I used to think it was in the room, but it wasn't. Somewhere else after, you go to have a meal.
Right.
And they'd have a dance, and no, they'd have a dance, not a meal. They'd have a meal. They'd arrange the meal. They'd have a dance. Yeah. In the rooms.
So are you a Melbourne supporter to this day? You are.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Now the last question. We're actually changing up our last question of the podcast. This year we're going to actually ask, if you were talking to yourself as a young fella, what advice would you give yourself growing up through the ranks of farming? What would you tell a young Barry Newman?
What, about life or about farming? Or?
Could be either or both.
Oh, well, I'm pretty old-fashioned, so I'd give them old-fashioned ideas, but...
in a sentence or two, what would you tell yourself?
Or
remind yourself?
It depends how you're brought up, I suppose, but I believe in the thing I value most is the fact that I'm still married after 65. We've got my wife and I got 2 kids. They're both happily married. They've both got 2 kids. And everyone's doing a great job. None of them have gone off the rails. None of them have got into drugs or anything. They're leading a very good life in their own direction. And so I think a family life is very important, and to have a good family life, unlike, I believe, some families, they don't even dine at one table. I think that's very important. Table manners and looking at, being good to your parents, being good to your friends, and joining in the community. I think I've done a lot for the community, I'm proud of it. I've got an A.M. for that.
What's an A.M.?
It's an Australian award.
Yep.
I've got it all out there in the car. I could show you.
Yeah, I'll have a look after. That's all right.
An A.M. is there's an OAM, Order of Australia medal.
Yeah.
And then there's the A.M., which is a member of the Order of Australia, which is next rung up. And then there's AO, and then there's AC, or is it AC and AO? I forget now. There's 4 levels of those awards. And so I got an A.M.
Is that for your community involvement?
Yeah. I did it. The community involvement, in particular in the 98 drought. I was president of the VFF in our area, and the 98 drought was terrible. And then we had floods, and the area was on its knees, you know. And Jeff Kennett came up as Premier and had a meeting in the Swift Creek Hall and then in the Omeo Hall, and he issued a lot of money for the area, and about 3 different areas you could spend the money.
Mm-hmm.
One was on where they had the scheme of buyback, where, you know, if the farmer wanted to sell out, the rural finance bought the farm, and they ended up in our area, in the Omeo, what was the Omeo Shire. They bought 17 properties and redeveloped them. They put a bit off here and said that should be bush, and this should belong to that farm, and what happened, they rearranged everything.
Right.
And of those 17 properties, I think I'm not sure now, about 14 of them went to local farmers, back to local farmers. The others,
good result.
Yeah, it was a good, and that was one program. Then another program of re-establishing trees, another program of doing up all the damage done in the flood in the rivers, and another one where you could put your country into reserve. And they'd pay you so much to do conservation work on your farm, to help you fix up a dam, or, you know, all sorts of, and that was fantastic effort. Anyway, but that was what rural finance did. But the VFF had a scheme of, like they've got going now, a drought scheme, well, like they've got for the fires, where you can give money to it and you can help all the people who've been burnt. Well, they did for us for hay. And I organised the distribution of the hay for the Omeo area. They dumped a heap of loads in front of my house to start with, and, you know, and I'd farm out. I'd ring everyone and tell us, you come and get a few bales. And then after a while, it got out of that and got bigger than that. And so, you know, Joe Blow at Omeo would tell me he wanted a load, and someone else wanted a load. So I used to organise. I knew what was coming. I used to organise all these loads.
Yeah. Distribute it out, so...
Yeah, so I helped distribute that, and there's a few other things. So I think, you know, doing what you can for your family, doing what's best for your farm, and doing what's best for the community, you'd lead a pretty good life, I'd say.
Oh, you've summed it up really nicely, Barry. It's been a pleasure having a chat to you.
Thank you.
I know there's a lot more stories in there that maybe we'll get you down another time to do a part 2 for us. Hope to see you up at the calf sales, and good luck with it all up there, and good luck with the move down to Bensdale with the calf sale.
Thank you very much, and thanks for the invitation, and keep up the good work. I must get attuned to this more often. I'm a bit old-fashioned and I don't play with my mobile phone much, but I've got to learn, haven't I?
Well, it's all there, so I'm sure you'll get to listen to yours and see how you sound on the other end of it. So thanks very much, Barry.
Good. Cheerio.
All right, bye for now. A big thank you for tuning in today, and remember, if you have a question about today's episode or a topic you'd like us to cover, reach out to one of our many platforms and join the conversation. We're here because of your passion and commitment to agriculture. Together, we can build a stronger farming future.
This podcast is made possible by the Future Drought Fund Regional Drought Resilience Planning Program, co-funded by the Victorian and Australian governments.